make sure that the audio is working. Looks like it is. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and let everybody know on Discord that I am live, because YOLO. Sometimes they like to pop in, you know. Let's go ahead and see if I'm live on my YouTube. And it shows that I'm not live, and I don't know why. Wi-Fi 7 router. So let's go for it. Come on. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm finally live. Okay, cool. All right, let me post a link in my Discord to let people know. Okay, I'm now a Wi-Fi 7 router. Okay, cool. So basically, I got this router from AliExpress. So let's go for that. And let me see if I can get my browser to open up. This browser I got from AliExpress, 125 bucks. It's not too bad. It's actually a pretty good headset, or not headset, but a pretty good router for what it is. The build quality is actually pretty damn good. I should show like some of the build quality within it on YouTube. So for 130 bucks, it's not too bad. So we're gonna go to YouTube and we're gonna go to the A7000 Xiaomi. And it's the A router. Okay. And then there's this guy who tears it apart. I think it's the A7000. Let me get my box here. Because, you know, it's the 7000, not A7000. Yeah. Xiaomi 7000 router. Okay. And this dude, he tears it apart and he shows you kind of, I think this is it. Let me see if I can find it, because he does tear it down. And it's in Chinese, so... Oh, here. And so he... Oh, let me mute this window. I think I can mute it. I don't know. Anyway. Let's see. He goes in and he tears it apart. See, I wish I could fast forward it, but as you can see, the construction of this router is actually really good. You see what I mean? Like, it's actually really good construction on a lot of cooling, and so it's kind of nice. Okay, so that's what the inside of it looks like, and it's actually a really cool system. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get into the interface. So the interface of the router is this. So when you first set up the router, what happens is it asks you to set up a Wi-Fi password. And really that Wi-Fi password is your password to log in. Okay, so you sit there and you get this device and you're like, the frick is wrong with it? Because you don't even know what's wrong, because you don't really know, because nothing is in English. And I was sitting there like, how do I log in? And I would like look in here and it's like admin, and I couldn't find anything about it. I was like stuck. And they're like, oh yeah, oh, how to change your Wi-Fi. Like, it didn't tell you, like, the username and password is, yeah. And it's they basically said admin. But the gateway is 31. And then you enter it in. And they can't tell you what this is. And this is not right. So basically the password is your Wi-Fi password you set up. So there was like another page I went to explain that, because this did not explain it at all. It was a really bad implementation of it. So yeah, so basically you go in, you type in your password for your Wi-Fi. And then boom. And this isn't set up by default. So the Wi-Fi 5 gigahertz and this stuff is not on by default. Usually what goes on in this router is you only get these two, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. The game is not on. So that's pretty much what you get. So then to set up the router and to make any changes, oh, first you want to do this. So you want to set up your connection, and you want to set it up as a bridge. Let me see. Oh, here it is. So like in here, there's a router mode. I can't remember where it's at. Here it is. This is the WAN mode. And then I have it set up to the, and what I can do is just here, translate the page. Switch between, so that's set up to a switch mode, see? And so that's how that is. So it's set up as a switch. You can set it up as any other way that you'd like, but that's how I have mine set up. And then mostly you would want the, let's go back here. So I would go into here, I think. Here you go. And Wi-Fi, I think. Okay, Wi-Fi, here we are. Okay, so the Wi-Fi, this is the try mode, so the try mode, but this is where you set it. So like right here, that means dual mode, and then this one right here is the try mode. So by default, the router is set up for dual mode. So if you switch it over to try mode, that's how you do it. And then this is your channel, so you just set up your encryption. And then you would then set up your channels accordingly. And then the game mode, it has 160 hertz and of course lower bands. So, and then you have the 80 hertz or whatever, which both of these would be okay for the Pico 4 for streaming, because you're not going to use Wi-Fi 7 really on these routers. It's mostly, I mostly got this just so I can have like the faster speeds. This right here is just like, if this is Wi-Fi 5 mode, so basically 2.4 and like old. So if you like your shit doesn't want to connect, you can just, but I wouldn't recommend turning that on. And this is another one of those Wi-Fi modes. There you go. And this is like an easy connect for something that they use in China. And then multi-in, multi-out. So that's kind of important, you know, kind of thing. So that there's the routers there. You can figure out like what channels your router would, or your device would like work best with. But the router is actually pretty easy to set up. And if you get the Google Translate thing, you can always just translate the page, and it'll like, you know, you can just translate page and then it translates it for you. See, it says multi-band mode into one, switch mode. See how I dual mode. And then, you know, the channels, which I don't really freaking care. Yeah, and then this is like sendability mode. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to work with these, but anyway, that's the router in a nutshell. Is it worth $130? Hell yeah, it's worth $130. I mean, I would do a speed test, but it'll show my IP address, and I don't really want to do that. But, oh yeah, and you can do like firmware updates and like download Magic app. The app's kind of shit. Yeah, and then the system settings. Oh, that's kind of cool. So you have system settings here, and another for those. Let me just translate the page. Doesn't really matter. You can turn off lights, turn on lights. You can upgrade. The current version is this one. You can do a manual upgrade. You can go to their website, get an upgrade. And I'm kind of wondering if I can get like the global version of the firmware. That might be worth it. So if I can do these Xiaomi 7 7,000 global firmware. Maybe I can get the firmware update for the router 8770 into global and see if I can get the firmware into English. And it might even be worth it to do that. I don't know. Looks like it kind of, you know, Wi-Fi routers. Let's see. A7000 router, Chinese. It's only China, so like I can't get any other router like firmware because the firmware is only made for China, which is kind of a crappy thing. Well, kind of crappy that you can't use anything but Chinese firmware. But it was worth a shot, you know. Like last time this thing was updated was January, November 28th, 2023. So it is widely supported. But I really, really wish that they would, better support. Let's see if they even plan on doing it. Yeah, Chinese routers. So they're only Chinese firmware. Even on the older version of that. See if they even try on here. Oh, there's a global one on this old one, but it's similar build. But I don't think they're gonna apply these ones, unfortunately. Yeah, but I wish they would make a global one, because if they can, then the standards would actually go. So like if we go in here and you go back to Wi-Fi settings, and then you go in here and you have the 5 gigahertz band, this would actually be the correct band, because if you go to like the home page, this isn't really, this is 5.8 gigahertz. So it's not really a true thing. It also shows how many devices are connected. My cell phone's connected, but it's not really like showing the true connection, or like the true 6 gigahertz band, because this is a anyway, it's just not a thing there, you know. So yeah. Oh, I can do a Samba share. I can do like Docker. It's kind of cool. You can like make like apps. You can probably just run. Like I can run like I can actually run like Jellyfin on this shit, like a movie server on my router. Would I want to do that? No, this thing wouldn't be powerful enough to do it, but it's available. So this is my router, and this is like the stuff that I do, and it's pretty cool. And I think that's about it. I mean, I do speed tests on my phone, and it seems pretty cool, and it seems like it's working great. So it might be worth it. Like if it at this point, the Tenda router is actually okay. So I got a Tenda 6E router, and the Tenda 6E router, I think this is the one I got, and it actually has 6 gigahertz band in it, and I use that as my main Wi-Fi router. It has a 6 band, but for some odd reason, this 7 router doesn't. It has a 5.8. So I don't know why. I don't know why the Xiaomi has 5.8. And it doesn't make sense why it would, but according to standards, 5.8 is Wi-Fi 6 gigahertz standard, according to the actual like write out. So the 5.8 gigahertz band. So if I See, 5.8. So that's the problem with this thing, is that yet it's 5.8. I wish I could find like the listing for it. Oh, here it is. So like, here's the specs of the device, and then if you go into like, it's a Qualcomm quad core, 1.5 gigahertz with 1 gig of RAM or 1 gig of memory. It has 5G 4x4 theoretical, speed there. It also has a Wi-Fi 5.8 gigahertz channel, which in theory isn't really 5.8. It's really 6. So like if you look at like 6 gigahertz band, so like if you look at the 6 gigahertz band, I believe I read that it's in the 5 gigahertz spectrum as well. From what I read, it's off the top of my head. I do believe that the 5.8 is in the spectrum of that. So like, what bands count as Wi-Fi? Okay. Oh, here it is. So 5 gigs. Okay, 6 gigahertz is 5.9 to 7 point thing. So 5.8, I guess, is actually the other version of 5 point. I thought it was within the spectrum there. 5.8 is 5 gig, excluding a few blocks, but then this Wi-Fi 6 covers this. So I have a feeling that like what it'll do is they'll do an update to the firmware, and then it'll allow the other bands to go through. But yep, this is the router I got, and it's pretty badass, and I really like it. And I'm gonna put it in a better spot than where it is, because it needs to be in a better spot than where it is. And I do appreciate you guys watching my videos, and you guys have a good rest of your day. I'm going to go ahead and cut this short, and